what I did find is how, if you are hiring millennials and if you are working with millennials and maybe you're a manager or a leader at your company and you're just trying to figure out, man, what can we do to change things? What can we do to maintain their loyalty? What can we do to have the retention rates higher? Well, I'll tell you. There was a 2016 Deloitte survey that indicated that 68% of millennials intend to stay at a company for more than 5 years. 5 years if they have a mentor that's interested in their professional development. I'm Andre, and this is the Speak Your Life podcast, where we talk about everything as it relates to education, careers, values, mentors, and anything to do with purpose. We do this one impactful conversation at a time, whether it's solo dolo with yours truly or our amazing guests to share stories, industry insights, encouraging words, and calls to action that can help you get closer to your why. Become a part of this Speak Your Life community by subscribing today to the podcast and following us on Instagram at SpeakerLYFE, because life without your why is meaningless. All right, today, guys, we have an episode for you, and this one is dedicated to, I would say, two groups: millennials mainly, and I would say the older generations, baby boomers specifically, I guess. But since they are the majority of the older generation in the job market currently. All right, millennials in the job market, guys. Baby boomers, y'all been doing a great job. Y'all have been holding it down for all these years. But hey, now we are the new ones. We're the new kids on the block taking over. And as of April of 2018, millennials make up the majority of the job market. Roughly 3 million more than baby boomers. And that's according to utahbusiness.com. You see, the thing is, millennials, there's this weird relationship that we have towards work that is a little bit different compared to baby boomers and other generations, because we are the generation that is known for going from this place to that place and having this nomadic approach to work, going from one job to another and not really settling, committing, or being loyal to one place. And so we're going to talk about all those things. We're going to talk about, different reasons why that is. We're going to talk about some of the things that could be changed and how, older generations approach millennials, and just calls to action for both sides, really. So let's get right into it. So millennials need to first understand that, taking this, there's a spectrum, I would say, with this nomadic approach to the job market, to this relationship with work. You have one extreme where you're like going from one place to the other. You have 17 side hustles, and you're like, working, at one place, and you just can't commit yourself to fully commit, fully be loyal to one place, and you're just going from job to job. I would call that the nomadic approach. Then you have the other extreme where you're working at a place and you're stagnant. You're loyal, you're committed, but you're stagnant at one place and you're miserable. And so that's not a cool place to be. That's not where, I would advise, or that's not a great place to be. So there's a nice middle ground there. And to our millennials out there, because, our generation loves options, whether it be, travel, relationships, and, jobs, honestly. But hey, there are some millennials there are people out there that like what they do, and there are people who are committed to what it is that they're doing. No shade to the people who have 17 side hustles, but there are, and it does exist. And it's capable. It's possible for you to get to that point. You are capable of getting to that point if you want to. So, and if you want to, this message is for you. I would say that having too many options is not really the best for you. It's actually more harmful. And I remember working when I was working as a cashier at Wings Cafe. Shout out to Wings Cafe in Kansas City. Yay. I remember just being there as a cashier and helping people, especially the new people coming in. Oh yeah, I came and I saw you guys on Yelp and all this stuff. And they were new. They were looking at the board. I could just tell they were new by the way that they looked at the board, our menu board, because we had like 25 different flavors. That's too many freaking options. Like, come on. Like I had to help people narrow it down. We went from like 25 to like 12 and 10, and they finally picked one because it's just like I had to ask different questions. I had to say, hey, do you want dry or do you want wet sauces? Do you want, are you more into spicy? Are you more into sweet? Are you more into, a little bit of both? Like these certain questions I had to prompt and ask them, the customer, to help them get where they wanted to go. And it's like similar to, when it comes to our jobs and stuff like that, because I was reading and it was talking about how Caltech did a research study and suggested that 12 options is the sweet spot. Now, I would say that's still a lot, but, because at the end of the day, you're probably going to, and the thing is, how is that relevant? Because I say that's relevant because young professionals coming out of high school, trade school, colleges, and universities, you are more likely to desire a full position at just one place, my friends. Just one place. I know what Caltech said, sweet spot is 12, but that's really related to customers and as they choose and the brand activity when it comes to the sweet spot. But out of, come to a top 12 and then narrow it down from there. How about that? That's where I would suggest that you do. Find the top 12 again and narrow it down from there. And again, and how is that relevant? That story I just shared, the part of asking questions. Maybe somebody else can help you and guide you through that, asking questions, the right questions to get you from 12 to that one place, or maybe 2 or 3 if you're ambitious, really ambitious, to get where you really want to be. And it's just helpful to you because you won't be as stressed out, choosing from so many options when you narrow it down. So like, again, go from 12 and narrow it down to one place, because some of you guys may be saying, well, I got 2 or 3 jobs. What you mean? But I'm not speaking to you guys. So you guys are the outliers. This is dedicated to the people and the majority of people. This is the masses that I'm speaking to out here. So all the people out there who are looking to just say, hey, I really do want to commit myself and work at one place. I really do want to find that one, company, nonprofit, or even start my own company. I want to stick to one place, maybe 2, but mainly one place that really speaks to me, that really gives me a purpose, gives me a calling. I don't know, that gives me something meaningful inside, and it brings it out of me. It brings it out. Anyways, so again, that's one side of it, the millennials. Now, let's get started with the older generations. All right, so there's a lot of older generations nagging the millennials, us millennials out here, and some Gen Zs about job hopping. They say, hey, well, you guys are always job hopping, going from one place to the other, and yada, yada, yada. But, just when I talk to different people from that I know that are baby boomers, I hear that often, or, maybe even Gen Xers that, say that about us, and they're just like, you guys need to settle down and, not go from one place to the other. And, there is some truth to that. And, but at the same time, there's like this, sometimes when I hear this, there's like this, I guess, negative connotation to it, because it's just like, well, you guys, don't know how to stay in one place or whatever like that. But there is a reason behind that, because I've had conversations with many baby boomers. I know, and it has really helped me to understand a little bit more about the thinking and the thought process of older generations. And so, again, specifically baby boomers, understanding the relationship to work, and how then it was more out of duty and out of service for the family, because things were different then compared to now. Because I found this in the Census Bureau, actually. In 1940, the average age of men at their first marriage was 24.3, and the average age of women was 21.5. From 1950 until the late 1970s, the average ages of men and women dipped to 23 and 20, respectively. But since the 1980s, the average ages of first weddings have been steadily increasing. For men, the average age had climbed from 25 in the late 80s to 29.8 in 2018. For women, the average age went from 23 to 27.8. According to the 2016 Gallup poll, 20% of Americans ages 18 through 30 are married, compared to 32% of Gen Xers and 40% of baby boomers when they were the same age. Wow, that is a big difference. The age at which we were married between 18 and 30 is about half of baby boomers. So it's quite apparent how different things were. And it's not to say which is better or worse, but it's just different. That's all it is. Because our generation as millennials, again, we are, characterized as seeking meaning and purpose in our work. And so, in addition to that, we are getting married later. We are having kids later. And so we don't have that same characteristic that many of the baby boomers, like my parents and many others, had, growing up and working, not because of pleasure or purpose or, because this is something that they really loved, but something that was, practical, something that, was about utility. It was not about finding your calling, finding what you truly loved. It was about serving your family and having, that sense of duty. And so we're going to get into now some things as far as like millennials and their relationship to work, because and really their decisions as it relates to work, as it relates to leaving versus staying at a company or what have you. So all salary aside, one of the things I was reading was about not feeling valued and appreciated was right there at number 2. And as a side note, I just want to say, people may say, hey, well, you guys just always are seeking validation. You guys are always wanting the participation trophy. You need a hand clap for every little thing that you do, every little, coffee that you make as an intern, or every little paper that you print, But no. But it's serious, because people who don't feel appreciated are not going to go out of their way and do things that are above and beyond for the organization, the company, or whatever. And because, again, in utahbusiness.com, regular quality feedback from management is important too, because 72% of millennials who receive regular feedback from management report feeling more fulfilled and satisfied at work. So, again, to all my older generations out there that are hiring all these millennials, you should really take heed to this information, because we are more likely to go above and beyond for you guys. And, you can, call it participation trophy mentality. You can call it whatever you want, put any label, but that's just how it is. And so what I did find is how, if you are hiring millennials, and if you are working with millennials, and maybe you're a manager or a leader at your company, and you're just trying to figure out, man, what can we do to change things? What can we do to maintain their loyalty? What can we do to have the retention rates higher? Well, I'll tell you. There was a 2016 Deloitte survey that indicated that 68% of millennials intend to stay at a company for more than 5 years. 5 years if they have a mentor that's interested in their professional development. Wow. That's almost 70%. That is amazing. And I really think that's amazing, because it said 5 years, because, man, I don't know too many millennials out here that are working more than 2 years at one place, or let alone 1 year. And so I know I was proud of myself for just working 1 year at my company. And it's just interesting to know that 68% of millennials intend on staying at a company for more than 5 years if they have a mentor that is interested in their professional development. And so that's a very important statistic. If you are a hiring manager, if you are a recruiter, or if you are somebody who is seeking out, employees, seeking out people, interns, people, that are maybe coming out of high school, trade school, colleges, and all those things. And so that's what I want to share with you guys. And another thing I want to share with you guys is a perspective about just how important it is to allow millennials to find what they love. You can call it job hopping or whatever like that, but just seeking after what they love, seeking after purpose and meaning in what they do, because if they don't, then you might end up on this will affect you in the sense of, the customer's perspective. Because I know when I was with my family one time and we went to this McDonald's, and it was like a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And anyways, we were going through the drive-thru, and the young lady who was there, I could just tell she just really didn't want to be there. And, she just, had terrible customer service. And when it came to getting our order, I remember I could never forget this, because my dad specifically ordered a McChicken sandwich. And tell me why we pull off, and we get down the street, get down the block, and we open up. We're hungry. Open up after church on Sunday, and they finally. My dad was like, "Wait, hold up. I see a bun, I see lettuce, I see tomatoes, but where's the chicken in this McChicken? There's no chicken in the McChicken. That doesn't make any sense." So we go back through the drive-thru, and my dad is showing her the chicken sandwich that has the McChicken sandwich that has no chicken in it. And tell me why this lady is over here arguing with my dad about how it's his fault. He probably ate the chicken and, wanted to bring it back to try to get some money back or get an extra chicken sandwich just because, he wanted to play around. But no, that's not what happened. Like, there was literally no chicken patty in there. So, so basically all that to say is that, my family and I never returned to that location. They never did come back to that place. And so that's so important, because people out here are, hiring, they're just hiring anybody. And they just think, well, we just need a body in here. We just need somebody working in this position, because, you got to be careful, because you don't want people like that. Those are cancers to your businesses and establishments. You don't want millennials like that are working. So because stuff like that, because you can be on the other receiving end. We've all been on the receiving end on bad customer service, whether it be at a restaurant or what have you. But it changes your perspective when you are on the receiving end of it as a customer. And, you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, it's terrible service. So I think you should start not nagging the millennials, hey, why are you doing this and that? Just encourage them to find what they love, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be like me at the McDonald's getting a McChicken sandwich with no chicken in it, like my dad experienced and my family experienced, and because that's just not something that anybody wants to go through. And so, anyways, all I have to say is that whenever you invest time and you invest into us millennials, we will, like that statistic said, we will be dedicated, we will be loyal to the cause, we will be loyal to your company, and that is really all it's about. We're here to help each other out. Millennials are here to help the other generations, and older generations are here to help us. Because without us, we are the future. We are the present, really, because I guess, like I said before, we are literally we have taken over the job market. Now, we are the majority, and that's just the fact, whether you like it or not, whether you think we're participation trophy generation or not, whether you think we're lazy, all those opinions some of them are valid, but at the same time, there are millennials that exist out there, I promise, that are actually looking to work, that are actually looking to have purpose and meaning in what they're doing and actually provide value to your establishment, your company, your organization. So keep that in mind. So as I close, I got two things, all right? And, this is a call to action for the older generations who are the hiring managers, the recruiters out there. And then I have a nice little call to action for the millennials. And so basically, again, for all the older generations, seek out young professionals who are looking to, the ones who are looking to grow, the ones who are looking for development. Look them out, like find them, bring them under your wing. Don't bash them, don't talk about them, just encourage them. And because when you do that, when you show that, you're giving them positive feedback, you're giving them, constructive criticisms. Excuse me, that's my little alarm. Anyways, when you're giving them constructive criticism and you're not just nagging them or just saying, hey, why are you doing this and why are you, going from this job to that job? When you encourage them, when you pour into them, they will go above and beyond for you. So again, that's what I have to say for my older generations who are hiring. Now for my millennials, find a mentor. Take this moment right now to write down 5 things in your life. And yeah, I would say, find a mentor, 1, and 2, take this moment right now, get a pen and paper and write down 5 things in your life that you value and that are non-negotiables in your life. Non-negotiable values in your life, write them down right now. So when you go into an interview or you already are working somewhere and you can evaluate if they have at least some or if not all of the things that are on your non-negotiable values. I will dive deeply more about the concept of values and the values board. Like I said before in the intro, I talked about, there's the vision board and then you have the values board. The values board is like the yin to the yang in the next episode. So thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe, leave a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at SpeakYourLYFE because life without your why is meaningless. Love you guys, and we will see you on the next episode.